Go. Okay, so first things first. So I'm gonna move things around a little bit. We're gonna do this BOMs, exploded views, and exploded line sketches stuff today, and then we're gonna pick back up where we are here on Wednesday. So I'll send stuff out to get us prepared for that. I didn't do that prior to today, so that's why we're kind of shifting stuff around a little bit. Okay, so you guys all got this file that I emailed out, and you're able to get it open, right? Yes? You having issues there? You got it, Justin? Extract all.
And then go into the non-compressible and that'll pop up.
Correct. Okay, so maybe first things first, let's talk just a little bit about assemblies in general. So an assembly file itself contains multiple parts. And as you guys just saw, if your file is compressed or if you have missing files, your assembly is not going to open up correctly. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to close this out, and I'm just going to go ahead and maybe delete, or let's just do this. I'm going to move these files to where they're not in the correct location. So now I'm going to open this up, and it's going to be missing a few things. So the way an assembly file works is it looks for all of the parts in that assembly to be in the exact same folder that the assembly file is located within. So there's this tool called Find References. So you can come up here and click Find References, and you'll see which folder it's looking in for the particular part files. And we can see here that it can't find these two, and it just doesn't know where they are. So I just moved the file, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on here and I'm going to unsuppress it. So then it's going to give me this prompt to either leave it suppressed if you don't know where it is, or you can browse for the file itself. So here it's looking for this motor block thing. So I happen to know where I just put them. So I'm going to go find those files here. Here, and then it's going to pop back up. And since these other files are located within that same folder, they should just pop right back up as well. So does that all make sense? I am not sure what language this is in. This is just something I downloaded courtesy of GrabCAD. Bob?
Is it prudent to move into that folder then, so somebody else?
Nope.
Or will it now look in those folders?
It will now automatically look, so since I just opened that from the other folders, if I save this, and I close this, and then I go to reopen it, it'll look in those other folders now because I've redirected the reference to the other folder.
But if you're say you're doing this and it's shipping, part of it's going to somebody to do the block or do some work on the block now, they don't know, but might need the piston file, and if the piston file's in a different folder, don't you run the risk of shipping them something that they can't open again? And they can't see what your intent was?
Generally speaking, when that happens, if you're looking to send this assembly file to somebody, you use a tool called Pack and Go, and we can go through that right now too, and that's probably another good tool to kind of walk through here. So if you open up the assembly, and assuming you have everything in that assembly opened up that belongs in that assembly, you can go File, Pack and Go. And what that's going to do is that's going to go find all of the parts, no matter what folder they're in, and get them to a point where you can save them to a specific single folder. So then I can go, so it finds everything, right, and it tells you what folder it's in right here. So here you can see I have a bunch of stuff in that folder that we extracted. And then I also see that I have 2 parts that are in my downloads folder that I moved those other parts to. So now I can, it's basically saying, where do you want to save all these files to? Save a copy of all of these files to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse, we'll just call it desktop, new folder. We'll call it pack and go. I'm going to select that folder. And once I have the new folder path specified down here, I just hit save. And now if I go back, close this, open my pack and go folder.
You put it on desktop.
Thank you. Now all my files are within that folder,
Regardless of where they, you put them.
regardless of where they were. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so when we do an assembly drawing, there's 2 main assembly drawings essentially, or assembly views that go in there. You're gonna have your overall assembly view, your isometric view like this, and then you're gonna have an isometric exploded view, or some form of an exploded view where you can kind of go in and you can balloon out all the individual parts within the assembly, which ultimately then gets tied back into the BOM, right? So I grabbed this assembly here because I figured it'd just be something good that we could all work with and just kind of go with it. Something I'll say right off the get-go is exploded views are a work of art, and they can become very, very difficult. And it's, again, just kind of like when we're talking about your standard part drawings or GD&T drawings. The point of it is to make it as clear as possible for the end user. In this case, would be like a person putting it together, or going into the parts manual or whatever. So I guess with that, let's start looking at how we go about doing an exploded view. So everybody's got this open now? Okay, so under assembly here, under the assembly tab, we have a couple of our standard features that are in kind of like the part drawings, as well as this assembly view here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to click exploded view up here. And that's going to bring up our exploded property manager, or explode property manager. So generally speaking, it's pretty straightforward. You click a part, you're going to get this little triad that appears. You can drag parts out, and then as soon as you drag something, you're going to see these steps start to appear on the left hand side. Just like if you want to select multiple things on a part or in an assembly, you can go through and hold Control and click multiple things, and you can drag things out. So I'll give you guys a minute or two just to kind of play around with that. What's that? Yep. So what you can do, nope, so mates are essentially irrelevant at this point. This is what allows you to kind of like just kind of break things and kind of move them around as you please. So if you wanted to, because like you said, your crankshaft's in 3 different pieces, but you want it to all move together, what you would do is you would just select all the parts that you want to move together. So in this case, I want the crankshaft and the pistons and everything to come with it. I'll just go through and select everything that I want. and then I'll go ahead and drag it all out. And in this case, that's probably going to be the best thing to do at this point, because when you drew your balloon drawings off of this, all that stuff's going to be really close together as it already is. So there's no need to kind of do the next step that we're going to talk about here in a minute, which is the exploded line sketches, which is what's used to help kind of connect things. So I've kind of broken things out into 4 main chunks. We have our kind of our cylinder, or our block type thing, if you will, our crankshaft and our pistons, our camshaft, and then our rocker arms and valves. So if we go over to, or once you're done with that and you hit the green check mark within your exploded view property manager, if you click the configurations tab, you will see you have your main configuration of your assembly, and now you have this little drop down arrow next to it. So that's essentially your exploded view configuration. So you can toggle back between your original and your exploded view by just double clicking that configuration. Bless you. Bless you. You get one more and that's all you get. Just give a couple more minutes to play around with that. So under configurations tab right here, under the configuration manager, by double clicking and clicking it, you will suppress and unsuppress the exploded view. Yep, you gotta hit the check mark in the Okay, so the next thing that we'll look at here is the exploded line sketch. So what this is useful for, especially when it comes down to like hardware, is connecting where you want that bolt, or which hole you want that bolt to go into. Or in this case, we're just going to kind of maybe do our camshaft and our crankshaft and stuff. So up here next to exploded view, we have exploded line sketch. So we're going to click that, and if you want to, you can blow this down here. This is just going to show you the items that you select. You don't need to do this, just there if you want to see. So in this case, here's my camshaft, and then you'll see that it's automatically going to pick a direction for the arrow. You have the option to reverse that arrow right there under options, and then you just need to click where you want it to go. So in this case, I want to go through this bushing and then through this bushing. So when I hit my green check, then I get this route line that shows where this camshaft goes. Do the same thing with my crankshaft here. And I might even go, if I was making this drawing for production or whatever, I would go as far as to kind of blow apart the pistons and then the piston rods, or the rods, and then the, is that a, what do you call it, a piston rod that holds the piston in? Connecting rod. No, this is a connecting rod. The
Wrist pin.
the wrist pin.
Yeah.
So I would go through the process of blowing all that stuff up. Just for, I guess, purposes that we'll see later here, I'm going to go ahead and edit my exploded view and kind of blow this apart over here as well. Yep, so if you want to go back and edit it, you just right click on exploded view, edit feature, and then you'll get your exploded property manager to pop back up again. Alright, so now that we kind of have a rough exploded view in, we're going to go ahead and start making an assembly drawing. So we're just going to go new, make drawing from part / assembly, and we can select either a B or C size. For size sake, let's just make it a C in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a isometric down here in the corner, and what you're going to see is these origins are going to pop in for all the parts themselves. So what we can do up top is we can go under view, hide / show, and just say hide all types, and that will get rid of all those little origins that are down there. I'm also going to go ahead and make this much bigger so we can see it. Probably not quite a 6. Yeah. Should. So maybe, yeah, we'll do this. We're just gonna go like this, kind of the whole size. I'm gonna throw our isometric view in here. And since I downloaded this file and these parts weren't drawn with our templates, it's not gonna have this stuff here to populate automatically. But if you do a TCE assembly template, when you're dragging parts in and making your assembly, you will have the provisional fields for you to enter the drawn by data and stuff. But as far as this stuff goes down here, it's exactly the same as a part goes, where you enter the drawn by name, date, the title, And then generally speaking on an assembly, the material and the surface treatment you would just populate with NA in this case, because you're not going to have a specific, or you're not going to have a specific material call out or specific surface finish for the whole assembly. Does that make sense? And I just realized this should say Twin Cities Engineering down here. Okay, has everybody got themselves to this point where they got a nice big view of their little engine on there? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert a revision table. So under insert, table, revision table. And I should have all you guys' templates set up so this NACS rev block pops up. It doesn't matter, I just use the C. So by going ahead and hitting the green check, we'll have this revision block that pops up, which is just going to say the version and the description of change. So in our case, I'm just going to put initial release, and then you can put your initials and the date. Is everybody able to get the revision block? That was another thing I set up with templates, so it should. What's that?
6 to 1?
I think I did an 8 to 1. Yep, 8 to 1. So if you go under, yeah, so those are, it's showing you all the origins from all of your parts. So if you go under view, hide/show, and then check this very top one that says hide all types, that will go away. Because if I uncheck that, I'll get all the lines in
That's
there.
no different than hidden eye, right?
Then doing this here.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize you could do that. That's awesome. Yep, no different than that. But why is it showing me my... Oh, now it's showing me all my lines. I don't want to see those. There we go. Oh, I just have to save it. So you'll find exploded views and line sketches tend to do weird things sometimes. Before you like start freaking out and draw any conclusions, the best thing to do is just close the document and reopen it. It's not unheard of that you'll just randomly have some weird lines floating around and you're not sure what to do with them. But I've found just closing and reopening 9 times out of 10 will fix that issue. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and throw in a BOM. So we're going to go insert, table, bill of materials. Then it says here over in our property manager that it select a drawing view to specify the model for creating a bill of materials. So all you have to do then is come over and click in the area. And your guys' should populate over here with something that says NACS or TCE template. Is that BOM standard? Yep. So what you guys should see. You guys should see this coming up. Is that not coming up? So once you got the BOM template that we're using up there, go ahead and hit the green check mark and then your BOM should populate. So one nice thing about the BOMs that this particular BOM is set up is these are all linked properties, so I can go ahead and type in a description here. So I can call this is like motor block manufacturer TCE. And if I save this and I go back to this part and I open it, the properties themselves will automatically go in there. So essentially it's a really nice way if you're making drawings for all these things and you want to just create the assembly for it first, you can go ahead and make, or basically do your BOM, and you can fill in all these things and then they're already done for your parts. Or do them when you build the part and then they'll automatically be here. Yep. Yep. Populate into the BOM automatically. Yep, that would be the more common way to do that. So, what's that?
I never knew it would go backwards.
Yeah, it'll go back. Yep, it'll go both ways. So, now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and pop a second sheet in here. So we're going to click add sheet down here. And this will take a second for it to pop up. But then you're going to get this stuff, all your sheet formats will pop up over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse to where I have my templates stored. And I can help you guys find yours quick too if need be. So you are going to want to use, well, it really doesn't matter, but if you want to keep it consistent, we just. Oh yeah, yours will come up. Okay, so yep. Yes.
Where did you put the?
Check this documents folder. Okay, so once you've selected our TC C-size template down here, you can go ahead and hit apply changes. And then the second sheet will pop up and you can toggle back between your first sheet and your second sheet. So what we're going to do on our second sheet here is we're going to put that exploded view that we created on here and we're going to do our balloons off of this. So just like you would on a part, you go over to the drawing or the view palette, selected right here. You're going to see that your open documents will show up here. We want our montage or our motor. So we're going to go ahead and hit refresh. And we're going to see all of our different views again down here. Now, what's different from this compared to a part is you will see you have a isometric exploded option down here once you create an exploded view. So we're going to take this and we're going to drag this over onto our sheet. I'm also going to go ahead and increase the scale on this so we can see it better. Not quite that big. That should work. Just a 4:1. So just real quick, I'm going to go back over and I'm going to look at our BOM and see how many items we have, just so when I'm ballooning things out, I know I need to have 11 balloons. So items 1 through 11, I want to make sure that I get all of those captured on the balloons. So you have a couple different options when it comes to ballooning. I tend to go through manually and just do it all because that just seems to be, I guess, a good way to do your gut check and make sure that everything's there. And then also I think it just looks cleaner in the end when you kind of go through and do it yourself. So I guess actually before we do that though, I'll show you, you have this auto balloon option. And by clicking auto balloon, it'll go ahead and throw balloons on all of your parts. But as you can see, everything looks kind of crappy. I mean, there's a couple different configurations that you can choose from. But like I said, I tend to always just kind of go through and do it myself. Seems to look better.
If you use auto, you can just drag them in.
Yep.
Where you want to find them. But that way you're covered. Every part's got one balloon.
That's true. Yep. And on a smaller thing like this, it's not such a big deal. But when you're dealing with an assembly that has like 100 parts, then you're spending more time moving stuff around and trying to make it look nice versus if you just clicked it to begin with. So in this case, there's only 11 parts. I'm just gonna get out of this auto balloon and I'm just gonna go through and balloon things automatic or manually. Okay, so now I've went through and kind of ballooned everything out. I'm just going to do a kind of a gut check and make sure I got everything. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm missing 8. I don't see 8. Aha. Eight, 9, 10, 11. So I guess good practice when you're doing these drawing views is to not drag your balloon over any other parts or over the part itself. So basically you want it to be in contact with the piece itself and then kind of away after that. Another handy tool that's good for keeping things nice and in line is they have this magnetic line right here. So I can click this and I can kind of go over the balloons I want to grab with it. And then that way those will always stay in line. Just another way to kind of help make things look neat. Another thing to point out too, this is just like any other drawing and you can use all of the same view layout tools that you can use on a part drawing. So if we want to do a detail view of say this whole deal right here, just to kind of give a better view of it, we can populate that just by using our detail view, drawing our circle around where we want to capture, and then I can go in and I can throw my balloons on this if I wanted to. Also, if you decide you want to pick it up and move it, you just hover over, you click the balloon itself, and you'll see this little dot pop up where it's attached to the part itself. You can drag that around and put that on, you can put it on different things if you want, and it'll automatically update your balloon number. Another kind of nice tool here that you can use for ballooning is you can use the add to stack tool. So say, for instance, I was going to do a separate drawing view with the crankshaft, the pistons, and all those components. I could just go here and I can right click on any balloon and I can say add to stack. Sorry, I'll show that again here. It's kind of fast down here. Add to stack. And then I can go through and I can click the different components that are all in contact there, and then essentially have it just kind of tie off of what's already there. Helps keep things clean if you have like a bolt and a bearing and a shaft and it's obvious what goes where, then you can kind of use that to kind of keep things clean. You can also, let's see, so down here, you can like change the direction of which the balloons are coming off if you want. It's all personal preference at that point. So what questions do you guys have about assembly drawings and assembly views and all the things?
You always use like the isometric exploded view,
Mm-hmm.
or I noticed that sometimes it's that the isometric view seems to cover up things that you want
Want to show?
the person to be aware of. So what I've done is taken it, I mean, I know you can rotate it and see it on the paper,
Mm-hmm.
but I usually will leave it in an exploded view of what I think is the best exploded view.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because the current always comes up on
Yeah.
your list of options.
Yep. So, generally speaking, for consistency purposes, when you have a whole dock pack with 15 assemblies in there, it just looks better when you have the same isometric view for all of your assemblies when you're paging through.
Yeah.
And then if you need to show things like in more detail, like let's just say for instance, I wanted to put this isometric view in here again, but this time I want to hide the block just so everything else can be seen. I can go into this part and I can right click and I can say hide. Whoops, sorry. Do I have to go under? Sorry. So under here, we see the component and then it's got the file name. So this is specific for the component itself that I've selected. So now I can say hide component. And now it'll show me everything else. And then I can put a note in here that says like item 1 so and so hidden for clarity. And then that way you can kind of go in and show more detail of whatever the particular feature or part is that you're trying to show. The other thing you can do too, like you can go into these individual components and you can show hide, you can show hidden edges on certain things if you want to. So like Jared said this morning, I know people are going to have questions and I'm not getting any now, so I'm just trying to give you guys more than enough time to ask them in class while we're here. Or later, yeah, either way. So I think that covers all of the basics for assembly drawings. So with that, I guess I'll leave the